Hey you guys, this is Josh
and Carolyn
with Homesteading Family, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pantry Chat, Food for Thought.
We're still not in the pantry.
It's too nice out here.
It was aptly named in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
Now it's a little, we'll get back there.
This is the living pantry.
There we go.
And it is
This
a living pantry. We harvest every day.
Okay, so we are in the pantry.
I think it's very contextual.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The garden is the extension of the pantry.
Hey, what's going on, you guys? How are you? This is episode 20.
Is it?
It is. Yep.
All right.
And today we are talking all about greens.
Yay.
And how we use leafy green vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly our lettuce, salad, our fresh eating greens. How we grow them, how we use them, how we preserve them.
How we harvest them.
Yeah, extension. It's just a wonderful extension of your season, and it's a great insurance crop as well. So that's the main topic for today, but first we'll get into a little catching up and a question or two from you guys.
Yeah.
So what's going on with you? I bet I can guess.
I bet you can guess.
Can you guys guess?
Have you heard this over and over again? I actually have just finished up the filming for the new upcoming canning class.
Nice.
I finally.
Yeah.
Now I'm still working on the editing, but guys, this is an amazing class. We just did. I just did full step-by-step tutorial walkthroughs on barbecue pork. We're having barbecue pulled pork sandwiches tonight from our canned barbecue pork. Really exciting. Goulash, loaded baked potato soup, chicken enchilada soup, salsa verde chicken. I mean, these things are so amazing, and
so it's been a lot of fun. What it sounds like you're talking about is the section of your class where you're doing pre-prepared meals, because you're covering a lot. Yes. You're covering jellies, jams, vegetables, meats. Right. But what you're talking about here is convenience foods for canning, right?
This was the last section that I was filming, and so I just did so many amazing convenience foods in there as a step-by-step tutorial. So. And
if you guys aren't on the list to find out about this class, we have a list to sign up for that's going to be best price for the list when we release it.
Yeah.
And so some goodies along the way.
Yep.
Today you released your loaded baked potato soup recipe. That's like her most requested recipe.
Yeah.
And that's
I've never released it before.
Yep.
It only went to people on the canning wait list.
And there's a full video tutorial, if I remember right, in the class. But you you released in an email the
recipe.
Text recipe. So if you guys, if you're interested at all, even if you're not sure if you want to buy a canning class, if you're interested, you think you might be, and you want some good tips, you really ought to jump on the list. And we had a couple people in the last Pantry Chat ask about how to do that, so we will make sure it is in the description below, a link to get in on that, because that is getting released August 12th.
Right.
So that's coming up.
To be clear, you can get in with just your email and your name to the wait list, and you're going to be getting recipes and some videos. And that'll give you the opportunity to buy the class when it comes out at full price, but you don't need to pay for anything to get on the wait list. And
no, it won't be at full price.
No, at the best price possible is what I meant to say. Sorry, good thing you cut that.
Yeah.
Best price possible. It'll be the best price that is ever offered on this class to that wait list.
Okay.
So, okay.
So besides that, canning.
Raspberries and peas. That's what I've been doing.
Raspberries and peas.
Raspberries and peas. We are getting raspberries by the gallon full right now. So about every third day we do a big raspberry picking. We have over 100 raspberry plants, and we are getting gallons and gallons. So 80 plants in the productive rows. We're sitting right behind them right here. And we just cleaned off the red currants and the black currants, and the gooseberries are now ripe. But it's the peas. Like every 3 days, I'm getting another bushel of peas that we're dealing with.
Some of the best pea crops we've ever had.
Best pea crops ever, but they are started. We finally just got hot, and they're kind of ready to give up the ghost.
You can see them in the backdrop.
Some of them are getting a little yellow, drying down.
Yeah, it's warming up here. We had 99 degrees, which is a little hot for us. I know you guys in the south probably scoff at that, but I was getting warm for us, and the peas definitely are. We're going to probably about finish up the harvest this weekend, I'll bet, and leave a few for drying, right?
For drying down, and for seed production. So. Yeah, cool. So that's what I've been doing. What have you been doing?
So, Oh gosh, well, I did travel last week.
Yes, that's right.
I went to my brother's funeral, and thank you, all of you guys, for your well wishes and condolences. Really appreciate that. A lot of love you sent our way, and you know, it's obviously a tough season, but it was a great memorial. It was a great remembrance of him and a positive time of his life. So that really dominated my last week. But we've also got just the construction projects moving full ahead. I'll get a Facebook post up on that, and some great beam work going up, and water system. New water system was turned on yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw, I don't think we posted on YouTube. I did a little quick short on Facebook of our cistern going in and a new pump so that we can handle both houses and some irrigation in the barn. And so that's an exciting bit of resiliency.
Yes, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's really good.
And so that's really been it. That's been enough. Yeah. And tending to the garden.
And we have a couple of kids this year in hunter safety.
Oh yeah, so we're driving this
week.
We
have a lot of driving that we don't normally do.
Yeah.
Getting people back
but that's good. That's part of actually one of their requirements for school is to pass a hunter safety certification. Yeah. Whether they want to hunt or not, they're going to take the class.
Our requirements.
Right. Our requirements for homeschooling. Right.
Yeah. So we live in a hunting community, and we want to make sure everybody is very aware of hunting and gun safety. Of course, we do training in the house, but you know, just as being in such an active hunting community, it's important whether our kids want to hunt or not that they are fully aware of hunting safety.
Yeah, hunting and just gun safety in general.
Safety, yeah.
And it's just a valuable skill to have.
Yep.
And just increases your awareness of what's going on around you.
Yes.
Even if you're not going to get out there and hunt too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about it.
That's, like you said, that's been enough.
That has been enough. All right, well, let's jump into a question.
Okay.
And hey, you know what, you guys? We did last session the Q&A, and a lot of positive feedback on that.
You guys like that. That's good.
So we're going to continue with this format of taking a question in these sessions. But we're going to start roughly a once a month Q&A where we'll take accumulated questions from the month in the video posts and answer them. That was really fun, and you guys really seem to like it. Just a ton of positive response to that.
And we'll try and spread it out amongst comments from all the videos from that month, and not just one. Last time we kind of got to one video's comments.
Yeah, we'll try to review all of them and get as many in as we can. That's going to be a little longer session, but several people said you liked that, you didn't mind that. Thought it was a good context. So
I liked it too.
It was fun. And thanks for that feedback. So we will continue to do that. But for today, the question of the day is from Carmi Jones. And this was referring a dairy topic and mozzarella cheese that we were discussing. And she says, you make raw mozzarella? Question mark. How? Every recipe I've ever found heats the milk. So what did you mean by raw mozzarella?
Okay, this is a great question, and raw in dairy can be a misnomer. Did you know that you can legally sell milk as raw milk even if it's been heated to 155 degrees for a short amount of time? It's called thermized milk. So raw in dairy, it's not really raw. Even then, it does kill stuff off, which is the point of doing it. But so raw in dairy can be kind of a sliding scale. So by this mozzarella, when I say raw, what I mean is it has not been heated past 110 degrees, which leaves alive a vast majority of enzymes and bacteria, and I'm trying to think of something else that's in there, but it's not coming out. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, I couldn't help you out.
So in the actual cheese making process, I only take it to 110 degrees. Now, if you make mozzarella, you're going to say, what about the stretching process? Here's my thing.
And she did reference that in a comment past that, or somebody else did.
I don't stretch it. I'm a cheater.
What?
I'm going to hide. Is that awful? We do stretch it if we want to eat it as a fresh mozzarella. But usually in our house, we're making mozzarella to go on pizza or go in a lasagna. Instead of stretching it, when I take it out, when I take the curds out of the whey, I put it in a colander and I don't stretch it. I knead it right there just to get it to release any extra whey. and that's where I leave it, because I find that it freezes much better in that state. The texture doesn't get that kind of strange texture mozzarella can get if you've stretched it first and then frozen it. So I always do it that way for pizzas, and it works really, really well. So.
And I gotta tell you, I don't think that's cheating. When we're trying to live this lifestyle and produce, we rely on producing as much of our food as possible, creating as many of our products. And when you're on the farm and you have this much to do, people regularly say, you guys regularly comment, how do you do it all? Well, one of the ways is finding simpler ways to do things that still work. And so we're not in the artisan cheese business.
Right.
I mean, I love artisanal cheese. I love good cheese and good dairy products, but we have to be able to get things done. And one of the things you're really good at is finding a simpler way to do something that works on the homestead with all that we have going on. Cheddar's the same. There's a traditional cheddar, and there's what's called a homestead cheddar, farmhouse cheddar. It's got a lot of different names.
Or a cheater cheddar.
Or a cheater cheddar. But it's a shorter way to do things and still get a good, healthy product.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that's cheating at all. It's enabling us to get some variety, some good food in, and getting it done in a shorter fashion.
Yeah.
And actually that is, well, that's not technically raw. It's also not pasteurized. It's not even close to it. It's heated. And so you're still maintaining a lot of the benefit of the milk, even though it's not, you know, 100% raw. At that level, you haven't killed off much in my reading.
No, you've killed off very little, 110. I mean, you can survive in 110, so can all of the things that you want in your food. So that's really helpful. And if you didn't catch from that discussion, we talked about how I actually add a good culture to that too. So not only do we have the good raw milk bacteria in there, but we also have the added culture bacteria, so we're really trying to kick up that probiotic quality of that cheese. So that makes a really good quality cheese that we like. It's raw, it's easy, and it takes less time because it hasn't been stretched, but I guess it could questionably not be called a mozzarella because it's certainly not a traditional mozzarella by doing those things. So
got it.
We got to come up with a name for it.
It tastes like a mozzarella, and I think from your research, other people call it a mozzarella, and it sure tastes like one, and it's great.
Yeah.
And,
so,
but
great
you know,
question though. Really
it is, and going along with just the theme of making things doable.
Yes.
That's part of our goal. That's part of our goal to share with you guys, and that's part of our goal in living this life, because there is so much to do.
Yes.
Is making things simpler and doable. And today we're going to talk about growing greens, all about greens. And I've got a confession. We cheat on growing the greens too. I don't grow full heads of lettuce.
We're cheaters.
I don't grow them up all the way. Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Okay.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've got to find the shortcuts. You've got to find better ways to do things. And sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. But when it comes to growing greens, and we're talking leafy greens, plants that you harvest for their leaves, it is a fantastic strategy to extend your season, to give you a crop insurance, meaning that if you do this right and plant all through the season, you can guarantee that you're going to have some sort of raw harvest all through the season, regardless of what's happening. Doing it this way can take the heat, it can take the cold to a certain point, and all the fluctuations that happen. And in our environment, we get a lot of fluctuations in weather, and from year to year, and even during the season.
Yeah, this has been huge for us, learning how to do greens in a practical way, because this has not only saved us time out in the garden, ensured that, you know, having that continuous food supply like Josh was talking about, but it's also really simplified cleaning the greens when they come into the kitchen, which, as you know, if you're looking for a quick meal, if you guys have ever gotten dirty lettuce into the kitchen and had to wash it and wash it and wash it in order to just get a salad to go on the side, you know, you've got to be pretty committed to do that meal after meal if you have to go through that whole process.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of time. And so this has really simplified that side too for us. And so that's been huge for our diet, because it means we're eating salads. You and I are eating salads twice a day, pretty much every day.
Yeah.
So that's a really good thing.
Yeah, you can also grow a lot of food in a small
A very
lot.
small amount
So
of space.
let's talk
about it.
Yeah, a little bit about the nuts and bolts. So to define, when we say greens, we're talking about any leafy greens that you eat. But the core topic in today wouldn't include things like beets, carrot tops, generally not chard, though you could play with chard in this context, that it just grows a little slow.
Yeah.
A lot of brassica leaves, other things we might use in your super greens or cooking greens. This is referring mostly to lettuce type greens, some of your Asian style greens, mustards. Can you think of anything else in there? I think that's...
Yeah, they're quick growing greens.
They're
and upright.
Quick and upright. You're not growing
greens.
for balls of lettuce. You're growing for things that are going to shoot up quickly and are going to be upright, so that we're harvesting at the micro and baby green stage generally.
Yeah.
Sometimes a little bit larger, but in that stage.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
So I think we first learned about this method from Carol Deppy and some of her gardening books.
Right, and that really stood out to you, the cut-all idea, the growing them upright.
Is what she calls them. And the idea behind it is that you're growing things that, one, will grow quick enough to outpace the weeds in the garden space. Two, they grow upright so that they're never down in the dirt, so they stay nice and clean. Right.
Therefore, and the point I'm getting to is that you can come along and grab them and cut them with the scissors, and they're ready to eat.
You harvest the whole thing. There's no pulling off the stems or the different parts to that. So and they're planted very densely in order to keep them packed together, standing upright, keep them clean, and keep the weeds from growing around them. Right. So, yeah.
Okay. So, nuts and bolts of how we do that?
Yeah, we do it in succession.
Right. So we want to harvest throughout the season as long as we can get it. So we start as early in the season as possible. We in our new place have a greenhouse now. That allowed us to start even easier. And we took a bed in there of about 150 feet, maybe, square feet. And prep the soil. You just need a basic flat bed, and not any wider. You want it wide enough that you can reach into and harvest easily. Okay. And you're going to prep the soil, normal soil prep, add your compost. You don't want to mulch these beds. Okay. Because you're going to be growing the seed. These types of seeds are delicate. Right. They don't need anything.
They're small seeds.
You're barely covering them, and they're going to grow up fast. And as Carolyn was mentioning, they're going to grow up and you're going to have a living mulch. And you're just going to get ahead of the weeds quickly. Right. And by the way, we're going to talk about weeds in a couple of weeks. August is like usually the month that we get run over by weeds. And so I'm going to talk about some stress-free weed methods. Oh, good. And this is certainly one of them, is planting densely things that grow fast. Okay. And so we plant those in rows that are very close together. Anywhere from 2 inches, I've experimented with up to 1 inch. That's a little too tight. Okay. Out to about 4 inches. So if we're doing it in the greenhouse, I'm going to go about 2 inches so that I can harvest the microgreens, smaller than baby greens, every other row. And then you can let things grow up a little bit larger, harvest baby greens every other row, and then you could even let it grow a little bit further. Okay. Good. And that's especially helpful in the greenhouse because things are still in the cool season slow to get going. Yes. So if you want to extend that that part of the season when it's still cool out, even in the greenhouse that's not heated, then we want to plant very closely so that we can harvest when it's very small. Right. Okay. Good. Okay. And then we're going to move that out because it gets too hot in there, actually. Yeah, and we're going to move that out into a section on the garden. We have behind me right here, that row right there. There we go. About a little over 60 feet long. And once a week, once it's time to plant outside, we plant a row 7 to 8 feet long. Okay. About a foot for us a day. So we do a space that's 7 to 8 feet long, and we do that at, you were saying 2 to 3 inch spacing? Once I come out here, I'm hitting 3 to 4, and I'm still playing with what I like best after doing this for about 4 years, and I'm starting to settle on 4 inches. Okay. But it depends on exactly what you're growing and how much you're trying to harvest and a few different things like that. Okay, so we're planting a 7 to 8 foot length of bed. And ours is about 30 inches wide. About 30 inches wide. And what are we putting in those? Okay, so we're doing a mixture, and I know you guys are going to ask. We can't tell you exactly what to plant for your area. You have to experiment.
Yeah.
But what we're using here is we use a kind of Asian green mix by Baker Creek Seeds. That's the Dragon Stir Fry mix. It comes up very fast. It's full of mustards, a little bit of spinach, which is the slowest, some bok choy, might be a little bit of kale in there. It's a good mix. Yeah, and it comes up very, very quickly. And it also needs to be harvested pretty quickly for our family. At least for you all, it gets too spicy. I don't mind it spicy.
For us weeklies.
Right. But it's fast. So we're planting that in there. And then we always have a variety of lettuces.
Yes.
I'm also experimenting with mesclun mixes.
Okay.
Baker Creek has a great one of those. Those have more like endive and chicory, and different things like that. Right. Yeah. And those are great because those handle the cool. They come up pretty quick as well, and they're great for salads. I think those actually have lettuces in them, so they're not going to do real good for cooking.
Right.
Where the Dragon Stir Fry, you can do raw or cook. So I like having a little bit of that, even though we don't do a ton of cooking greens in the summer. It's nice to have there once in a while.
We're trying to eat off all the zucchini in the middle of summer. We don't need the greens.
And so really it's a lot of different lettuces. And we have lettuces, the Rocky Top mix. I like mixes.
Yeah.
And Rocky Top from Baker Creek is something that works great for us. We're playing with some seeds from another company, Adaptive, that we like, and looking for those varieties that grow quick and that grow up.
Yes.
And
not the balling.
Again, there are so many out there. You've got to just do a little bit of research. Understand your area.
And we do change varieties a little bit out, as the season is changing. When it's really early, we're looking at the ones that are going to handle the cold really well, and we slowly are transitioning to the ones that handle the heat really well, and then of course we'll transition back to the ones that handle the cold.
But here's the thing. With this method, because these aren't growing much past 6 weeks, they don't have to be extremely heat tolerant, which a lot of your lettuces
really nice.
Aren't.
Yeah.
And so that's another benefit here is we certainly want some things that are going to come up fast in the cool weather, and we don't want them to bolt too quickly, but most things we're going to harvest before it even bolts. And so it's pretty sure if you're going to stay with it and work the system. Right?
Yeah.
And so you're doing a bed 1 week, another week you're doing another bed, and you want to size that bed appropriate for your needs.
Okay.
So for us, I figured that a 30-inch bed by about a foot services our needs per day. So one foot by 30 inches.
Bed foot of 30 inches per day is what we need for our household. Now we have a large household, so you probably need a lot less for your house.
Well, and I was thinking about this today, and I would bet for the average house, 2 to 4 people, you could do about a square foot to that's 2.5 square feet, what we're doing.
Okay.
So the average house, a square foot to 1.5 foot square.
Per day.
Per day.
If you want to eat a salad at least once a day.
Yeah, and we're getting a salad twice a day. You and I twice a day, and the rest of the household anywhere from 10 to 14 people.
Okay.
Almost every day of the week.
So you can get a lot of food out of this. Now let me take the next question that comes with this. Is you're planting once a week, you're planting these sections. How many weeks before you go back and you harvest that section?
So depending on the heat and the cold,
right,
it's going to be anywhere from
it's going to slow down and grow slower if it's colder, and it's going to grow faster if it's warmer. But 4 to 8
weeks. Six is about the average.
Okay.
So we have our bed set up that we can get through 8 weeks.
Okay.
And once we harvest a bed, we cover it, we cut it down, leave the residue on top, and we cover it with landscape cloth or some sort of cloth that helps it break down.
Okay.
And
so
then
you're breaking down all the roots and everything.
Right, and you leave that sit to decompose because we do 2 plantings on this bed the way we do it. Same we'll do in the greenhouse, 2 plantings. That allows us to get a solid 4 months.
Yes.
Right? 16 weeks out here easily.
So one lesson that we learned the hard way about doing succession planting of beds is that occasionally you have a bed that you haven't eaten all of the greens off of when it's time to move to the next bed. You have to move ahead with the weeks. You have to harvest by week 2,
and so,
right?
experimenting with
what we have learned is, experimenting with the size of the bed,
that you need. Yep.
But it's also really important to go ahead and move on to the next bed, even if it means you've got to throw some of the existing greens to your chickens, or have a friend come over and harvest it, give it away. But go ahead and move to the next bed at the correct timing. Otherwise, what happens is all the beds start to get ahead of you because you're harvesting behind schedule, and then it just kind of all goes wild and you can't get to it before it's all seeded or gone bitter. So it's really important to keep your harvesting up in succession as well as your planting in succession.
You need to plant and harvest regularly. Yes,
Right.
You need to plant whether you think you're going to need it or not, and you need to harvest whether you need it or not.
Exactly.
To keep that rotation moving and find a way to use it, and then adjust later. If you go, wow, I didn't grow enough, okay, then increase the allotment you're giving for a day, or decrease it if you need to.
Yeah. Okay, now one of the things that's a huge benefit of this is the harvest, and we've alluded to it a few times. But when you have plants, greens grown in this way, you can go out with, I know I prefer a serrated kitchen knife and you prefer scissors, but you can just go out and you cut the whole plant right off at the base, and then right as you're there, we just go ahead and chop.
That's why I like
whole
the
plant.
scissors.
That's why you like the scissors, because you can do it right there. It's really easy.
I cut it right up and it comes in the basket, cut up, ready to go. I like smaller leaves in my salads, but so you may not care, but that's how I like them, so that works well.
So before it ever comes in the kitchen, it's been grown in a way that keeps it clean, because it's upright, so it's not laying down in the dirt, so it's not dirty to begin with.
Easy to handle because it's not a big, large head.
It's easy to handle, it's easy to harvest, and it comes into the kitchen clean and chopped, ready to be used. So that means that once a day, you go out in the garden, first thing in the morning while it's still nice and fresh, and you take, how long does it take you? 20 minutes, 10 minutes?
Oh, to harvest, no, 10 minutes maybe.
10 minutes to harvest.
And that's harvesting for our large family.
For our whole family, a large basket that will get us through our 2 salads a day. And that comes into the house first thing in the morning. I have it sitting there ready to go. That means when I go to make a salad with a meal, or one of the kids does, it's faster than one of those pre-made boxes or pre-washed boxes from the grocery store, because it's ready to, I take it out, I put it in the salad bowl and I dress it, and that's it. Way cheaper, way healthier, way fresher. I don't have a bunch of old slimy stuff that came in the box with it that I have to pick out. I don't have to wash it. It is ready to go. And that was revolutionary to the kitchen and to the diet, when all of a sudden that healthy food from our garden became the fast food too. And setting yourself up for success in that way, I think, is huge.
It is, and it's great insurance, because whatever else is happening on your larger crops that take longer to grow.
Right.
And because of that, they get affected more by too much cold, too much heat. You can't generally eat those crops when they're small.
Yeah.
And so this is great insurance, season extension and insurance to get you through the season and keep you in raw eating no matter what else is going on.
Absolutely.
And I love that, besides just having a fresh salad or two every day.
I really like that part.
Now, before we run out of time, a couple of things I want to cover. One of the major objections that I get to this is the amount of seed. That's what I hear is, but that takes a lot of seed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does take a lot of seed, but it is totally worth it.
Do you know how much a box of lettuce costs from the grocery store now? Isn't that sad? Now it's a box of lettuce.
And you still have to wash it. Well, you can get heads of lettuce. You can still get those.
You can still get them, but
they're expensive organic,
right.
And it still pays for itself, even if you're comparing doing it this way organically to non-organic lettuce. And you've got some time out here in the garden, but you have less time in the kitchen, washing, running water, messing around. And so the seed is well worth the cost. And we do save some seed because of some of the things we've been through. We haven't focused on that the last few years. But as we develop for this plot of ground, the varieties that are going to work best for us, we will play with starting to save our own seed with that.
And lettuce seed is one of the easiest seeds to save. So if you're worried about the cost, just dive into it, invest in it this year,
simple.
Save your own seed, because it's really easy to do. So we do need to cover really fast preserving, though, because we want to.
That's right, and I have there is one challenge. The largest challenge with this is watering. This is something you do got to know.
Okay.
Because watering is the largest challenge. Prepping the bed, seeding's really easy. You just cover them with light compost. Cover them a little thicker than what they tell you.
With the compost?
Yes, with a very crumbly compost, very light compost. But watering is the trickiest part.
Okay.
And they do need to stay damp. Unlike corn and plant starts and some of your other beans, larger seeds that are down below the soil a little ways and they don't need to be babied with the watering, most of these seeds have to be babied. Yes. And they need water. So you need to be able to get out there, depending on the weather, 2 to 3 times a day.
Okay.
Even if you're gone during the day, you can get out there in the morning and the evening and water for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long. And a light watering over the top.
And this is just when they're in the seed stage.
This is just when they're sprouting. Once they've sprouted, I still like to water them once a day. It really depends on the temperature. Other of my plants, I like to stress and let them grow and search out. These guys, I just want to get them up as fast as I can. So I give them a little bit more water. But you can't, just so you know, if you go try this, you can't go out and plant them, get it going, water it, and walk away for several days. That's not going to work. It does take a little bit more water. But a good micro water, a good mister on a timer, totally take care of that for you if you're in and out of the house and not around the monitor.
Oh, good. Okay.
So,
good. Okay, preserving.
Preserving.
All right, so we've got a couple different methods that you can use to preserve greens. Our favorite right now is in the super greens powder. We've been talking about that if you've been following along with Pantry Chats, and there is a how-to video that I put out last summer or the summer before. So that's a great way, and yes, I use lettuces, I use mustards, I use pretty much all of them. You can also use things like your carrot tops, your beet tops, your cabbage leaves, your broccoli leaves, sweet potato leaves. Don't use potatoes or tomatoes or rhubarb leaves. There might be others. If there's others,
know that it's not, the leaves aren't poisonous. Yep.
Yeah, make sure that the leaves aren't poisonous. Then stick them in there. And by doing that, all I'm doing is dehydrating them.
There you go. Okay, I was waiting. You hadn't said that.
I hadn't said that. All I do,
for those that don't know.
I just take them in. I stick them in my dehydrator. If you don't have a dehydrator, a low oven would work.
Or sun dehydrating.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. That can be hard if you have a humid area, so just beware if you're humid. But and then once they're crispy dry, I stick them in the food processor or the blender, get them down to a powder, and I store them in a canister. That way, those are great for your winter smoothies or anywhere, soups. Anywhere that you can just sneak in a little bit of powdered greens gets you that much more nutrition into your diet. Other ways to do greens are to blanch them and freeze them. That would be my second preferred method, secondary method.
Let's clarify. I don't think you would do that with your lettuces, right?
I wouldn't do that with my lettuces, although I have heard some people use their lettuces for soups, and I have not done that. We don't usually have that much leftover lettuce.
Well, we don't. We eat it, and we have beet greens, chard greens.
We have so many others that are better.
We have a lot of spinach, a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah, and then of course you can.
You do the can?
I can't do the can, but I can greens. But I don't find that it's worth it at all. By the time you cook the greens that long in a pressure canner, I don't know. It's like buying canned greens from the grocery store. It's just not. And
that's what's nice about the dehydration. Eating them raw or dehydrating. Freezing's great, and it's nice to have those, but that does take an energy source to keep them up. And you can end up with problems. Your freezer going out, whatever. The dehydration is great long-term storage. If you want to set some aside for long-term food security, you can do that. A great way to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that kind of covers the preservation methods that we would use right now for greens.
So one more. If you're struggling to garden or you're having struggles in your garden, this is something that you can do, that you can pick up pretty much any time of the season until you start hitting your last frost date. And I mean, even then you can, depending on how your frosts come in, it's going to be slow going, but you can plant then. Pretty much any time through the season, you can jump in. And if you're new to gardening and you're like, wow, it's too late this year, I can't do it. No, this is totally a method you can do. You can take a 3 foot by 3 foot square if you want to.
Absolutely.
And prep it, add some compost, smooth it out, and get something growing. And it's really easy. And it's just a great way to go, even for beginners.
Absolutely.
Or small spaces.
And you can really, with those small spaces, you can be bringing in food every day for your family and cutting your grocery bill within a few weeks, within 4 to 6 weeks, I think you were saying, 4 to 8 weeks.
Yeah,
right
absolutely.
Now. So you can do it.
Okay, leave us your questions on that.
Yeah.
And we'll get to
Next
those
time.
either next week or in the next Q&A session.
Okay.
And next week, we are going to talk about late summer planting. What you can plant in your garden in August.
What you should be planting
What you
in
should
your
be
garden in August.
if you want a fall harvest.
Yes, there's
maybe
a
even
lot
late
of
summer,
things
but
that you can
definitely
be putting
fall
in.
harvest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is one of the keys to successful gardening, is just like this continual seeding here, is always looking at what you can plant throughout the season to extend your harvest season.
And there's a lot of exciting things that go in for a fall garden.
Oh boy.
I like fall gardens. So great, you guys. It's been great to hang out with you.
Okay, well, we will see you next time and hope you have a great week.
Goodbye. Bye.